What's good, everybody? Look, I go by the name of Gabriel, and for those who don't know, this is my co-host business partner.
J.R. Johnson, what's up, y'all?
And this is another Friday, Freedom Friday. We're here again, Ask a Producer. You know how we say on this show, we like to bring people on who's producing something. We believe everybody's a producer of something. And we just like to bring the people on who's doing big things in their lane, in their industry. Tonight's no different. I want you to share this video, tag real estate agents, tag entrepreneurs, tag people who's in that political field, in politics. This is the year. It's a very political year, high in politics. And so tag people who's interested in those different things, because we have a very special guest in the green room. And JR, we're going to let you introduce her.
Well, I keep it short and sweet. We have a young lady who I've known since yay high. I'm just joking, but we went to school together, Goose Creek High School, Goose Creek Gators. And she's been pretty much the same ever since I've known her. And we reconnected when I moved back home from college and got married. She became my realtor for my household, and she actually helped us get this house that I'm living in right now. And not only that, she branched off and started doing some great things outside of the community. In the community, but outside of real estate. And so I'll keep it like that, and just bring it on, man. Everybody, let's welcome our guest, Rita Adkins.
Hey guys, how are y'all doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Yes.
So, Ms. Rita, I know JR gave you a light introduction, but why don't you introduce yourself to our platform, to our audience?
Okay, well, I am Rita Adkins, and I have been a local realtor in the area for over 18 years, full time. Wow. And currently I'm running for South Carolina Senate District 41. So those areas would make up West Ashley, Ravenel, Hollywood, James Island, Johns Island, and parts of Colleton County, which is Cottageville and Walterboro. And then let's swing over to Dorchester County, which is parts of, Dorchester County off of Dorchester Road. So I am looking forward to what November the 5th has to offer. But at the same time, I've always been heavily involved in my community, and nothing will change about that.
Wow. So nice. What made you want to get into politics? I know since when I reconnected with you, you were into real estate. What made you want to, transition into that field?
Well, it was never a transition. It was always there. My father, God rest his soul, he has since passed a few years ago of cancer, and he was heavily involved in politics. So I was always his right hand. If it was the door knocking, if it was helping with the calls, he was running for town council or even for mayor for Somerville. So I've always been in there. If you know me personally, I will tell you about my views and I'll argue you down. But if you did know that side of me, I always kept it very professional, where if it was just real estate, we talked about real estate. So I've always had that in me, and it was easy for me to just stay being an advocate within our realtor association, and then also an advocate within the community. So I've always was actively involved, just never on a scale of let me run for office. Wow. And one of the main reasons that I decided to run is a few. One is right now we're dealing with women's issues, women's rights. And I have 4 beautiful girls, and two of them are, I have 2 sets. So I have a 22, about to be 23, a 20, and then a 6 and a 5-year-old.
Wow.
And we shouldn't have to be worried about our rights, let alone their rights. And those are up for question right now. And I can't sit back and turn a blind eye anymore. And one thing my dad has taught me since at an early age, you can't make change unless you're in that room sitting at that table.
Wow.
So that's what made me jump in. But at the same time, there's a whole lot more we're dealing with here. We're having a crisis with this home affordability. We're having a crisis with this accessible and inexpensive healthcare. So there's so much going on that we all need to be involved. Our freedoms are at a moment of question, and we don't need to let that go away.
Is this your first time running for any type of office?
Yes, for any actual political office, yes, it is.
So tell us, help our audience understand when you say women's rights are on the line, or what do you mean by that?
Well, currently, we all know, if you've been watching the debate, that a few years back, they overturned Roe versus Wade.
Before you say that, what does that mean? What is Roe versus Wade? Explain that to.
Roe versus Wade is basically the law that was in place to allow women to have certain reproductive rights. And with those reproductive rights, it was taken away on the federal level, and then it allowed the state level to make decisions on what to do with women's reproductive rights. So majority of the biggest conversation is abortion, right? When can you have an abortion? How long you can have the abortion, if you can have an abortion. So that is the main biggest item on the table. And right now, we currently have a law where it bans at 6 weeks. But the biggest issue is a lot of women don't even know that they're pregnant at that time. So then what happens there? And then they want to criminalize people, even if I just recently read an article where a young South Carolina State college student had to go through a process of being, say, an attempted murder because she had a miscarriage.
Really?
Right. And those are things that are starting to happen. Now, currently, they're trying to do a full ban. And that is what we're trying to stop, which means at no period of time, South Carolina wants you to have an abortion, period. And that is no exceptions as far as rape, incest. If a mother is dying because of the baby inside of her, they're trying to ban it all. And you want to think about, it's not just about a woman looking to have an abortion, is you got to think about what are other reasons. I just met a young lady, she's in her 70s, and she told us there was a time where her doctor back 30 years ago, where they said the baby wasn't surviving, but she kept pushing and pushing. She ended up having to have a C-section with no medicine just to keep her alive. But the baby ended up passing away 5 days later.
Oh, wow.
Right now, she would not have had that choice.
So this is what you guys are fighting for.
Right. And I don't know if you heard of the sister senators, but we had 5 senators step up. 2 of them, one was independent, one was a Democrat, and there were 3 Republican senators, all women. They formed a group called the Sister Senators, stood up for what is right. They took away parties at our state house and said, listen, this is not a place for us to be putting politics into doctors' offices and into women's care. Y'all need to stay out of this. They ended up, the Republicans, all 3 of those women are no longer in office because they stood against the Republicans, their own party. Wow. And currently I am running against one of those extremists that took that woman's seat, or trying to take that woman's seat. So I know they're trying to deal with their own agendas as more of control, because to me it's common sense. The Democrats only ask for, how about everyone vote? Put it out to the masses for state of South Carolina to determine and vote on election, but they didn't want that. We just did a poll in my district, and 73% said they do not want a full abortion ban. But they're not listening to the constituents. They're only listening to the people that's in office. And that's why I want to change. We need better people in the office to make better decisions.
Currently, does who controls? It sounds like this is just like strictly about abortion. So who controls that right? Is it the federal government or is it the state?
Currently, no longer the federal government, so it's the state. So the state voted.
So it's a state controlled process.
Yes.
So the state is kind of making the law, I guess, against abortion. And that's all.
If we're able to get Roe versus Wade back, then it will go for all the states. It was never an issue until they took it away. So if Harris gets into office, that's the first thing she's working on, and to put back into place Roe versus Wade, where at that moment is no control at all in the states. It is the federal rules and laws.
Now, I thought when laws are put in, I'm still don't understand politics like that, but I thought when laws are set, you can't really change it, or you can overturn it. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Wow.
And that is where we talk about down ballot, right? Because we will take the U.S. Congress to have to go back to the table to say, hey, let's revisit this, or we're going to have our state go back to this table to revisit this. So when we're worried about Harris and Walz on the ticket, we need to be also worried about who we're voting for U.S. Congress.
Yeah.
They're going to be the ones making those decisions, right? And then you also, if we can't get it back on that federal level, we need to worry about this on the state level. So then who are you voting for on the state level in your state Senate, who in your state House of Representatives, to where they will be able to make those decisions and those changes for us?
To be honest, I know when I go vote, half of the people, I don't even know who I'm voting for when I look on the ballot, because I don't know who's who. And if I don't hear people, like yourself, advocating for something or talking about something that's really going on, how is it that I guess I say for myself, how do we know who to vote for, or some that, I don't know how to really explain it, but it's I see where the passion is in regards to abortion. And it seems like that's the big subject here in the United States. But other than abortion, there are other things too that we're dealing with. Why is it that our economy, our country, is so focused on this one particular issue?
I love that question, and to be honest with you, it shouldn't be. It should not have to been fight for so many years. It should have been keep it the way it is, right? Mm-hmm. But it's letting you know that there are certain people with certain agendas. I would love to have a full conversation talking about home affordability, road infrastructure, quality education, easy, accessible healthcare. But instead, we're fighting for our freedom at this moment. And that is something where we shouldn't even have to be discussing. I'd rather us only talk about real subject matters. They want to sit here and let's even switch from talking about abortion, but they don't have a problem. They want to ban books from schools, but they don't want you banning guns. So you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? You can't pick and choose what you want to talk about, but the biggest issues that are affecting our actual people are honestly a lot of the Democrat issues, right? Do you really think they care about healthcare? Do you think they care about children, affordable daycare for kids? No. Do you really? But these are issues that affecting us every day when we wake up and have to pay those bills and walk out that house and take our kids to school. Their kids are in private schools. So those little things like that, they don't really care that much about. And affects us all, but we would never get our voice heard until just what you just said, that we have to take the time and get to know who we are getting into putting into office. Because if you have a super majority, and that super majority is only caring about banning books, banning women's reproductive rights, and that's including IVFs, banning doing open carry, where they're trying to get it to where currently no training at the age of 18, but now they're trying to get it to where it's no background check. Really? So those are your three concerns. What about this other stuff that's really affecting us? And those are conversations we're needing to bring up. But if there's more Republicans in the office, what do you think is going to be heard? And that is where we have to get a balance in each of our legislative committees, where it's the House, if it is the state, or if it's the U.S. Congress. We got to get a balance. So then that way, our biggest issues are being heard. Everyone comes and complain about student loans. I know I have them, and I know hopefully y'all don't have them, but probably you do. And Trump even said, to Harris, I want you to see if y'all can do it. He knows that the U.S. Congress is not going to let them do it, right? So at that moment, that should have been an alert. Well, we need to get people in Congress to make that happen. So find out about your congressperson. Find out who's running. Currently, right now, in our area, that is Jim Clyburn, and that is, I'm on the Democrat side as Jim Clyburn, and then Michael B. Moore. And Michael B. Moore is running against Nancy Mace. And so those are people on the U.S. Congress side that a lot of people don't even know about. They know about Jim Clyburn probably, but not anyone else.
How do you feel? What's your priority when it comes to the political arena? So like you just spoke about the feds and also the local state government sector. What's your priority when it comes to that, and what would you want people's priority to be with that?
First, my priority is not to go there taking sides. I want to go there with a balance. I think I learned that in real estate, where in order for a person to negotiate, everyone has to win on some parts. So it is finding a compromise on a lot of our subject matters, really, and finding a way that we can all work together and for it to make sense with the state of South Carolina. But our biggest thing right now, if it is not dealing with women's rights, next is on our line is our kids' education. You know, early on, I mentioned how I have a 16-year gap with my daughters. Nothing has changed. Even when we have been in school, nothing really has changed. I like the more vocational side to it, but we're needing to revamp our education, and we needing to be paying teachers more money. We're needing more funding to come and to help teachers. We're even needing more funding coming for mental illness within the schools. There's so much that's going on, and we have never got it right in the state of South Carolina. We're still ranked, I think, 46 or 43, which is still low either one.
with education?
Yes, we need to do better. And that has been that way since my oldest daughter, which is 23, and probably since we've been in school. Nothing has changed. So if you were to ask me, our biggest thing is focusing a lot on our schools.
What up, good peeps? Look, I go by the name of Gabriel Ori, and I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. Look, if you like rap music and you like gospel, and you put those together, gospel rap, then you'll love the music that I've been releasing. My new album is called Ecclesia, and the latest single off that project is called No, we won't stop. No, we won't quit. Awesome God, I know y'all see it. So listen, click the link below, because not only do I want to give you guys a preview of my new single, of my videos, of the work that I've been doing in the past, I also have a few free gifts for you, just to say thank you for supporting independent artists like myself. Listen, I'll see you guys on the other side. Click that link, click that link. I can see you. If you really love someone, don't you know?
I was gonna say, to clear up what I'm asking, is a lot of people focus on like the big thing, Trump and Harris, but like that's one priority. Like everybody, people skip the local, they go straight to that, and that's all they focus on. Me
Just
personally,
media.
I don't think I don't I don't think none of that really matters as much as your local government. So my priority is not the big the road show, the dog and pony show. My priority is the state level. Like, who am I putting in as my mayor?
Yeah.
Who am I voting for as my superintendent? Who am I voting for my representative for the state? So I'm asking you, what is your priority as far as when it comes to people to pay attention to? Because everybody's paying attention to Harris or Trump, and I think we're missing the boat if that's what we're going to. We need to pay attention to
Right
your
here.
local level,
Mhm.
right? Because then your state, we can cry all day, but your state votes another way than you, then it doesn't really matter. You just participating in a dog and pony show. You need to get more involved with your local government and align yourself with people who have your values at hand. So that's what I'm really trying to ask. Like, what's your priorities with
My
that?
priority is local and state. I honestly, federal level, those issues are not the biggest issues for us. So it is us focusing. And when we're on that campaign, we say down ballot, down ballot. Understand all the way from your state representative down to your coroner, your treasurer, and let alone the superintendents, or just your county council, town council, and even school board members. You want to be able to, and we've been educating people to go to scvote.org and put in your name, your birth date, and your last four digits of your social, and it pulls up your sample ballot. Two things that I like about that: if it doesn't pull anything up, then you need to go register, because that means you're not registered in the system. But if you pull it up, it'll tell you where your precinct is. It'll show you what your actual ballot will look like. Take that ballot and go and look up those people. I know for sure that every single one of those people, and if not, you can go to the county websites, which is Charleston County, Dorchester, and Berkeley County. You can pull it up there, and they'll have the candidates and their information. But we all need to always focus on our state and our local level, but it takes everyone to be aware of that and go and do it. It is known that a lot of people just hear the hype. Well, how many signs I see? Okay, that's who I'm gonna vote for. Oh, I hear this person constantly on the radio. That's who I vote for. It takes money to campaign. It takes money to have those signs. But if you're only voting off of popularity, then you might not be getting the right person in office. So that is where you want to take that time. And my father always taught us that you learn about your candidate. So it goes in that household where you are educating and talking to your kids and taking them to voting with you. My 5 and 6-year-old know about Donald Trump. They know about Biden at the time. And then I sat them down and told them about Harris. And they understand the little mind, within what they can understand. But if you ask them who they would vote for, they would have no problem telling you. And that is where those education levels start, even at a younger age. But we should always only be focusing on our state and local, because our local people are helping us determine potholes in the road. They're helping us get the school boards where they need to be. They're helping the town. There's so much going on. So the town council and the school board, where everyone forget about those people. But those are the ones making the most urgent decisions that's going to affect our families immediately.
Yeah, you made a great point about the advertisement, the money that needs to be advertised, and people focus on those who see the billboards or signs out. And that's where I get to that question. I don't see these people who are actually doing, like what you're doing. So it's like, it's hard for me to vote for someone, and I don't even know, well, who are you? I just see your sign. What are you, and on the ballots, they don't really say exactly what. They just Democrat or they're Republican. And half the times I know that people just vote because they're Democrat or Republican. They just vote for this Republican side or Democrat side. Like, I mean, how do we change that? I mean, I guess you already said it. It takes money to advertise. So
It takes money. It takes education on the voter side. I'm covering 3 counties, and it's hard for me to be in every place at every time, right? So I can leave Johns Island and head straight to Walterboro, and then one night I can be in Givens, which is, closer to the Cottageville, and then I gotta be back here off of in Westcott or Kings Grant. I can do all of that in one day, and that's a large territory, and I have over 88,000 people in my district. There's gonna be somebody, and probably a good bit, that say they never know who I am, and they would never know who I am, because if you're not fully into politics, it's not even going to be recognized. Even if I had a sign out passing your house every single day, you would not probably pay attention if that's not something that's on your radar to pay attention on. And that is where we need to change that mindset, where voting should be on everyone's radar. Knowing who is on your ballot should be on your radar before you go in there, and you should already know who you're going to be voting for. I get calls all the time saying, "Hey, could you tell me a little bit about yourself? I looked at my ballot and I see that you're on there." And we would have a conversation. And I do those too to people, especially school board. Let me get a little bit of background with you, because you're going to be the one dictating the situations that's going to come up, and my kids are going to be affected. So it is us having to take a understanding that we need to be in front of it as a constituent too. And at the same time, we also have to be in front of it to know to ask too. Like, you can call up your your town council, your state representative, or your Senate representative anytime and say, "Listen, I need more money. I have a small business. What kind of money can y'all bring to us?" Like, hold those officials accountable for the reason that they're there. And that is how people get money trickled down, because they're constantly asking, or if they hear, "Hey, taxes about to go up." Call your town council, call these people, fight for it. Instead, we are never proactive, we're always reactive. It's the moment it happens, and then we're like, "Oh, what happened here?" And then you want to fight on it. But trust and believe me, just like your HOA, you've got meetings before they increase those fees. And it's get upset because we don't attend those HOA meetings to discuss it and say, "Let's change up some stuff before doing this fee." But I bet you money, the day everybody get that increase, everybody at that meeting questioning why they got that increase.
that is true.
I got 2 questions and a comment. So the comment is, I don't know when politics has gotten so dirty, or if it was always just dirty. I look at politics as just a dirty game, because they only in politics is where they can go back 30, 40 years in your life and pull up one instance of you doing something that you were young, you made a mistake, and is not forgiven. In politics, they're going to weaponize that and use that against you. So I really don't like politics as much. But my 2 questions to you is kind of what you were alluding to before, about people won't know who you are, and in today's time, all the probably since the inception of it, you need marketing and advertising to get your stuff out. So like you said, "Hey, I went to Givens, then I went to this, and I could do that in one day." Um, well, if you had a video that explains who you are, you don't have to go all those places in one day. Send your video to those places in those markets. Obviously, you have to pay for the marketing, but that's the name of the game. So the question is, since people don't really know who you are, you have 88,000 people. Take the time now to tell the audience who you are, why they should vote for you. Specifically, I know you said it before, what you were running for, but break it down, make your pitch. Why should we vote for you, over the other people that's running? And then number two, and maybe you can start off with this one before you do the latter, or the former. Your dad is into politics. How does one enter that arena? How do you start to, like, okay, I want to get in? How do you do that?
Well, I'll start with the latter question first. When I was fully approached to run here, the biggest concern was my family. It was determining, is this going to be a good fit for my family? And I went to a meeting, and it was a luncheon for elderly women, and it was words of wisdom. And a lot of them were leaders in our community. And one of them was asked, when did you decide to become a leader? And the lady said, no one ever wakes up one day and say, I'm going to be a leader. Instead, God taps you on that shoulder and you go. And at that moment, you just assume the seat. We will always question, is this the right time to step into a leadership role? And that could be in our household, that could be in our church, it could be at our job. But you got to have that in you and know that you won't change. And that's all I say, just go. Because if you worry about everything around you, then you would never do, because you're always going to find an excuse. So I encourage everyone, just start where you feel comfortable at. I might have not ran in a political race before, but I have been a person that's been an advocate for everything. If it is childcare, if it is home affordability, if it is accessible and manageable healthcare, because as a realtor, I have been in the trenches so long and having to be an advocate. A lot of people question, well, you're in real estate. Yes. But when I go knock on that door and sit down on that couch or sit there at that table, there's reasons why people are having to move. And some of those reasons are because they did not get the proper understanding of heirs' property rights, or they're having to move out of their mom's house because she can't afford nursing care. There's always a reason that people are having to move. And sometimes it is the glorious moments where we're moving up because our family is growing. But then there's others moments where we can't even afford a house, and I'm on a teacher's salary, and I've been a teacher for 20 years. We're dealing with these. So when I ask people to vote for me, it is me saying, I'm in those trenches every day. I understand. I've had 2 in college and 2 in daycare. I know what the cost can be. And my job is to make sure that we can keep that cost to a minimum. But at the same time, we do need to grow our economy. I'm a business owner. We need to have more people that feeling comfortable to come into our economy and build businesses and get grant programs. Why someone like us have small businesses and we're struggling, but a big business come in and get all the tax breaks? We should have the same type of programs available for us too, because we're the ones in our local community, and we're going to be the ones that are going to continue to strive within our local community. So I've been able to touch so many avenues of life, and I've been a part of, and I will know that when I am thinking about anything, and how I tell people, I might not be in your district. I know I'm not in JR's district, but my vote matters across the entire state. And that is what matters the most, is making sure you're getting the right people that's going to be looking out for the people. And those for the people moments are not worrying about banning books. Those for the people moments are not worrying about, oh, why do you need to, you shouldn't have to have a training for carrying a gun. Yes, you should. And it should be concealed. And those, because we all know that if one of us and really one of y'all gets stopped, and even though the law says that you can have a gun on your seat now, let's ask that cop how they're going to feel when they stop and pull you over for a speeding ticket. And they see that gun sit on that seat. So there's more to the situations than what is written on a piece of paper. And there's more to situations versus, oh, well, Johnny wants to go hunting and that's why. No, we're worrying about y'all getting pulled over. or opening your own door, which happened in Florida, with your own gun and get shot and killed because of that cop had fear in them. We need to focus on what is going to be right for everyone. And that is what my job is, to make sure that we listen to what our constituents are wanting. And I'm going to hold everyone accountable for that. But in the end, we all have to step up. It's everybody playing their part. And it's making sure you know who you're voting for, but it's making sure you're staying involved in your own community. So you even know that when something is going around. We keep talking about gentrification, but how many people really, we never go back to those meetings and know that those builders and developers coming in those neighborhoods and fighting for that land. Instead, we just say, oh, there we go again. And that is where we need to be very proactive about that and know to help. I met a young lady, and I cannot think of her name right now, but she's a developer, and she was out in Rosemount area. And she said, before the developers came, I went to the city and asked for grants to help the homeowners fix up their properties. That to me is keeping home ownership affordable. That to me is making sure our great grandparents and our grandparents still have a house to live in that they're not going to drive by and try to condemn. So those are things that we can be proactive about. But at the same time, we are making sure that everyone is fully understood. Our biggest issue, I can go all day with issues. We need public transit here. Yeah. We need something. People love Charleston. We're all living here and don't want to move, right? And then there's coming to Charleston. Mm-hmm. So that's not, home affordability is unobtainable. So now we're saying home attainability. So we know prices are not going to go down. If y'all own homes, that's going to be hard to do. So I would like to make sure, let's talk about subsidies. Let's talk about reduced interest rates. Let's talk about grant programs to get you in the house. Yeah, your house payment might be at $350, but if we can get you a rate of 2 or 3%, you can afford that. Yeah. So at that moment, you're no longer saying this house is $350,000. You're saying, how I can afford this $1,600 a month payment. And that is where we have to focus on. But you can't push people from out of Charleston to North Charleston. And that's where the bus line is. And then they can't afford around the bus line. So they move to Goose Creek. But how are they going to get to work when they relied on that bus line? Yeah. How are they going to get to work if they got to move to Moncks Corner and when they relied on that bus line? So when we are bringing those case studies to people and checking to see where we can do public transit, a lot of people pull away. Ain't nobody going to ride the bus. If you make a bus lane, I bet you I'll be on that bus. If I can get all the way to downtown and I don't have to worry about traffic, I don't have to worry about accidents, and it's a straight lane, you better believe the average person would. And so just imagine if we open our minds to when they're bringing this information to us versus immediately saying no, because it's an inconvenience or it's another sales tax there that I don't want to pay for. But we are turning to be a metro city. It's no longer good old Southern charm anymore. And it's just us having to understand that and being open to suggestions.
And I see that's a battle too. Some of the locals here don't want to see a change in the communities in the city of Charleston. It's got to change when it's growing. You can't stay the same when you have more and more people moving here. You can't have the same roads. Trying to contain the amount of people that's moving here. You got to add more highways. I always wonder, why is it that it's like it's the last minute to do things as far as our transportation and highways. When people are moving here, the roads are, like you said, we got potholes. It's not being updated. Traffic is always congested at certain times. You would think that they would do something with 526 or maybe add another interstate that can get you to Mount Pleasant versus taking 26 to 526 or something like that. But yeah, it's a battle with that. It's a battle about adding new buildings downtown. It's all kinds of stuff, I guess I should say. But
a lot of that comes from, and I'm a true believer because I attend a good bit of the council meetings, the right hand don't talk to the left hand. Mm-hmm. I'll just say Cane Bay. Let's throw Cane Bay. Cane Bay is a huge master community. No one did talk to the DOT and the council about road infrastructure, right? The developers came in, started building. No one was talking to the superintendents of the schools to determine how many classes and what size of the schools we're needing. No one didn't talk to the commercial developers to see what's all going around there. But everything started happening, and then they just fell in line over time. But look at the crisis we're dealing with. The traffic is crazy over there. You're dealing with the schools are full over there. You're dealing with, trying to determine, can I have more commercial development on that main road or not because of the traffic? Where if everyone got together at the very beginning and said, let's map this out the right way. Before we move to another area to develop, let's make sure we study this and know where we need to do the difference with widening the roads or adding extra roundabouts and things of that nature. It comes afterwards. It doesn't come, they're reactive versus being proactive. And that is where and again, that's not on the state level there for me. That's more on the city council and zoning boards, right? Where they need to have all those people in that room having that discussion. Where if you're going to build a massive community, we need to have a space for a school that's going to house thousands of kids, not 200.
Right.
Make that make sense. And not only giving Cane Bay as for an example, but it's happening in other areas. Look at what's going on Johns Island. You can't move. There's so much stuff going on, but it's because the right hand is not talking to the left hand. And that, again, is more on the local level and getting on those local boards and having those meetings.
Is that not an automatic policy? Like if a big developer comes in, they don't have to run it by these constituents to make sure that all of these discussions are had before they come out with a plan?
They run it by the zoning board, so they don't have to run anything by the constituents in the area. If you want to be there and hear, you can talk. You can go in and state your case. But and hopefully you got a lot of talk to where it makes the board back up and say, hey, go back to the drawing board. That's what your hopes are. But say, for instance, no one's coming to those town council meetings. It's up to the town council to make those decisions. And if they don't see no complaints, they're going to move forward.
If that's the case, it seems like the root of what would be an issue on one hand, let's say on the left side, and a slam dunk on the right side is, hey, all we have to do is just put it in a town council meeting or put it in some type of meeting infrastructure, because we know the left side ain't coming out to no meetings. We can put it out like the example you gave for the HOA. So if I'm a developer and I want to bypass some things, but still say I'm legally within my thing, I would say, hey, let's throw a meeting. Let's put it out in emails. We know nobody's coming. That's how we win. And we do what we're going to do. And by the time they look, it's too late. Right. And it's done. So how can we get people to get on one accord with something like that? Like you mentioned the HOA meetings. I don't ever go to the, to the HOA meetings, right? But I also I can see if they increase something, and yeah, I'll be like, oh, why they increase it? Well, you should have went to the meeting, right? So it's like, I need to get on the board, or I need to do this, or I need to make sure that I'm represented and heard and know what they're doing before it's done, so I can have a voice. How can we create that level of unity so that we can all come together, kumbaya, so that we can be on one sheet of music? That seems to me the root. Like, we're not together.
I agree. And honestly, if you want my honest opinion, and it doesn't happen a lot, and it does happen to some people, hold the people you put in place accountable. So you know who your town council is. They need to be giving you updates. They need to say, hey, just giving y'all an update in Cane Bay. We are about to have a hearing. If y'all please come out. it is informing your people. So I know in our area, we hold our town council. I know it's she now, it wasn't he. We hold them responsible. What's going on? Why that light ain't up yet? What, like we hold, and that goes back to that education level. Like, I know who my town council person is, and why is that Pepsi, company alarm constantly going off? Get them to fix that. Like, you can reach out to your town council people, but people don't know to do that. So, but they also gotta be neighborly with you as well. So you know that they're there, they're giving you updates. Our town council lady, she tells us, hey, this is what's about to happen off of Chick-fil-A is coming, or this is coming, is keeping us abreast for people that don't go to meetings, but it's also telling you what's coming up. If not, you can always go online. You can read the minutes and know what's going on. Sometimes if it's something very important, they will post those little signs on the road and give you attention, like, hey, this is a rezoning question. The zoning board is meeting on this day if you want to come. But honestly, it is getting to know people in your community that's very active. I made the comment before where, a lot of our churches used to be that place, right?
Yeah.
But that's not really happening anymore because churches are spread out everywhere. And usually, even if you're going to church in a community, that might not even be your community anymore.
Yeah.
You're going back because that's your family church or so. But that used to be the pillar where anything going on in that neighborhood, you heard it at that church.
Yeah.
And they got people fired up to go to those meetings to say, hey, we don't want this in our backyard. I never get over when Boeing first came and they were pushing into a neighborhood with the trailer parks that they got rid of. But then if you think about it, that was actually subdivision in front of those trailer parks. And so they're like, well, this is about to be Boeing. There were so many people at that meeting saying, hold on, what type of shrubs you going to use? What type of sound barriers you going to use? But just imagine no one showed up. They sit there and told Boeing, y'all go back to that drawing board because this ain't good enough.
Hmm.
And that is where it just takes that education to know to come out. And it's a lot. It's a lot. We're all working people. When we come home, we don't want to leave again. And so that is where they do allow, now they're videoing those meetings, but you still got to know what they're about to talk about because you might want to be there to talk, right?
Yeah.
But it is just staying in the know, and that's a hard thing, and that's where I know I will be that one where anyone that wants to be on my emailing list or anyone on my Facebook page with South Carolina Senate 41, when I get there, you're going to know everything that's going on. I want you to give me suggestions, help me out, because I don't know everything and I'm not in everybody's shoes. So I want to hear different sides before I go and make a decision. And that will definitely be one thing that I already do locally. And this is what everyone will expect from me when I get to the state level.
Well, I have one final question, or two, actually. How can people reach you? You just mentioned your social media, and then what message would you like to leave with the community that's to head to the polls, as they head to the polls?
The message is get out to vote. We need to get out to vote. Our biggest issue is we do not vote. We need to get out to vote. So that's my call to action. And of course, if I'm in your district, make sure you vote for me. However, you can visit my website and it has all the links to social media. It's RitaAdkins.com. So RitaAdkins.com. That is where you will, if you want to help register, if you want to help door knock, if you want to help do phone banking, if you want to donate, or if you want to learn more about me, everything is in one central location, as well as all of my social media links too.
Awesome. Gabe, you had any final thoughts, questions?
Nah, Miss Atkins, you have a very political name, Rita Adkins. So I know the audience won't forget it. Do you have signs?
Well, I have a few signs, but my big order is supposed to be in tomorrow. So we're going to start putting it on the, putting them out on the roads.
Nice. Feeling real political now. So,
right. It seems like you're not official until you put your sign in the yard.
We have a visitor who's going to come out and vote.
Hey, yes. Come out to vote.
Well, we appreciate you for coming on our platform. Wish you the most, with your agenda and what you're trying to do. And y'all go out and support Miss Rita Adkins. You can't forget the name. She told you who she was, and just look forward to more coming from her. You see the signs on the streets. You start to see the videos, the marketing campaigns, the advertisements. But we need to support one another. We need to invest in hearing, getting to know and understand what a person's about. And, if your views align, vote according to your morals and what you feel is valuable to you. Sorry. But that's all I have. JR, you got any final thoughts?
No,
I'm sorry about this. I don't know why her mom just let her come in.
No worries.
But no, Rita, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. It was good seeing you, and I'm glad that you're doing more to help our community. And I'm looking forward to seeing bigger and better things from you and your family. So y'all, like Gabe said, go out and vote. And so
Yes.
Thank you so much.
So definitely, I go by the name of Gabriel Ori. This is
JR.
And this has been Ask a Producer. Share the video.